Hey, welcome back. Day 9 of our 10 days through Job. Today, Elihu, this young man, finishes his speech to Job, his encouragements to Job, and he raises some very difficult truths and arguments today. So let's read through some of his statements in chapter 35. Job has said, "What advantage will it be to you, God? What profit shall I have more than if I had sinned?" And then Elihu answers that and says, "I will answer you and your companions with you. Look to the heavens and see, and behold the clouds. They are higher than you. If you sin, what do you accomplish against him? Or if your transgressions are multiplied, what do you do to him? If, on the other end of the spectrum, you are righteous, what do you give him? Or what does he receive from your hand? Your wickedness affects a man such as you, and your righteousness a son of man." So this is the first quite humbling truth that Elihu now raises, that when we sin, we don't hurt God. And when we do righteousness, we don't benefit God. God needs nothing from us, and God cannot be hurt by us. We are tempted to think we are more significant than we truly are. Sinners think that they hurt God when they rebel against him. They think that they are defying God and are somehow powerful against God in their defiance. And God is not hurt by them at all, because he doesn't need them. And on the other hand, when people do things that are good and righteous and for which their consciences commend them, that was a good thing to do, and especially those of us who do have faith, we can slip into that religious spirit, thinking that when we do good things or righteous things, or we give money away to the poor, or we resist some temptation and we are clean, that we have somehow benefited God by that. But we haven't. God doesn't need our righteousness. And if there are good works to be done in this world, he has better hands to do them with than ours. So there is a humbling which Elihu wants Job to see, that God is far above us. And then he speaks today about how creation and the majesty of creation should teach us that God neither can be hurt by us, nor does he need us in any way. All the good that he does for us and the patience that he shows through our sin is a demonstration of his kindness. Now, of course, this is leading to a point that we're going to make. The next the principle that Elihu wants to share is that when people cry out to God in their affliction, very often it is just a cry of hypocrisy. It's an aeroplane going through tremendous turbulence, which looks like it's going to go down, which causes a man to cry out, "Oh God, help!" But God sees into the heart, and God won't hear the cry of hypocrites. Affliction is sent to us to humble us. Times of difficulty and hardship and suffering are sent to humble us, to make us realize again our insignificance outside of God himself, outside of the grace of God, and to turn away from our sin and to seek God for our good and to trust him. This is why we suffer in life. It is sent to turn us back to God in humility. And yet, the wicked cry out in hypocrisy when they're going through difficult times, says Elihu. And Elihu says, "Although you say that you do not see him, yet justice is before him, and you must wait for him. And now because he has not punished in his anger, nor taken much notice of folly, therefore Job opens his mouth in vain, and multiplies words without knowledge." Elihu is now saying to Job, Job, you are not taking advantage of the lessons and the callings and the beckonings of God in your suffering. That suffering is sent for our good in the end. Wow, that is so difficult for us to reconcile while we are suffering. It's so difficult for us to humble ourselves and to seek God truly without hypocrisy and say, God, you are good. God, I will not charge you with wrong. And God, I am sorry that I am a sinner and I haven't given you all the glory you deserve. And I haven't loved you with all my heart, mind, soul, and strength. And God, in this suffering in which I'm going through, you are calling me back to yourself. And here I am, O God. Here I am, and I will wait for you. And my mouth will justify you. You are good, you are just, you are righteous, you are clean. And I must be patient. And so, God, here I am in your presence. That's what God wants from us in our suffering. And if we do that, he will lift us up out of our suffering again. And it will do us good in the end. This is what Elihu is trying to tell Job, and this is what God is trying to tell us in these words as we read them. So he then continues, God is mighty, but despises no one. He is mighty in strength of understanding. He does not preserve the life of the wicked, but gives justice to the oppressed. He does not withdraw his eyes from the righteous, but they are on the throne with kings. Elihu says, if they are bound in fetters, held in cords of affliction, then God tells them their work and their transgressions, that they have acted defiantly. He also opens their ear to instruction, and he commands that they turn from iniquity. And if they obey and serve him, they shall spend their days in prosperity. And so, while Elihu is not saying what Job's friends had said, you suffer because you're evil, he is saying there is mystery in the suffering of God, but now that you are suffering, you have done foolishly in accusing God of being unfair. If you patiently take suffering in the mystery of God, and you admit that God has every right to deal with you as he wills, and your heart remains humble and tender, and you do confess the sin that comes to mind, and you do trust him, and you confess to him that he is good and that you will wait for him, then he will lift you up. And so, in all this, my friend, let the words of Elihu and God through these scriptures, let them encourage you, if you are suffering, to confess to God that he is good, that he is mighty, that he is righteous. Try to understand what God is saying to you. Try to search your heart. Try to make good of your suffering. Try to use it for the good for which God has sent it. And as you do that and are patient and you wait for him, he will lift you up again. You won't suffer forever. But God has sent it for your good. Again, may God give us grace. See you tomorrow.